Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Two Lines Tuesday with Two Lines, or Tuesday at Two Lines. I'm not sure where it's going to land. Hey guys, what's up? Wow, there's already some traffic in the chat. So how's everybody's Tuesday? It's been a fun day. Kind of a busy day at work. But got some UPS deliveries, but it was not slot car related. But that's for another YouTube channel. So guys, tonight I thought we would jump in and we've been talking a lot about layouts over the last couple of weeks. And I've had some great feedback, and I appreciate those who've tuned in. YouTube's a funny thing. Anytime you put yourself out there, you are going to get critiqued. And I have to say that all of the critique that has happened over the last couple of weeks has been really positive. Lots of recommendations. Hey, here's what I think would make your live streams better. I need to add a camera or two. I would love to put a camera over by the track so that I can go to the track. I like the controlled environment here, but people are saying that they want to see my track in the background. And maybe I'll move my this is my podcast space. So I've got a table that's got 4 mic boom arms with 4 mics. And on Wednesday nights, I record with my buddy Mike, and we do a podcast called Feels Like Home, which we highlight great things that are happening in our community. Mike is he's the president of our Chamber of Commerce, and we're buddies from church, and he's just an all-around great guy, and we have great conversations, and we decided about 2 years ago to start a podcast. Today, we got news that we won 2 Davey Awards for best co-hosts in a podcast, small format, and the other one was like best content or something. So, which is really pretty cool. But anyway, let's get to slot cars. So I thought this week maybe we'd take off talking about everybody's favorite cars. So just a little bit of background: digital Carrera track here. Our first cars were Carrera cars, and then we've slowly been branching out into some other brands, putting chips in them to race. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about building an analog test track so that we don't have to put chips in cars. But I just thought I would kick it off with, like, what are people's favorite cars that they're running? What are some cars that we have not jumped into yet? Some brands that, and some just like specific cars that people love. So, hey, Nick, welcome. Hey, George. George and I had a great conversation the other night, along with Raul. Hey, Raul. Thanks for joining the live stream. My brother Dusty is on. So good to have you, Dusty. And John Mark. Garth is back. Hey, Garth. Scott Given. Thanks, man. Thanks for jumping in. And there he is. Okay, I'm a little late in the chat. I guess I need to scroll down. Beatnik Classics. Hey, welcome, man. You guys have a great layout. I've been enjoying your track footage. We will try to have some racing maybe this weekend if Dusty and John Mark come in. We've been waiting for bad weather. The weather has been great in Ohio the last couple of weekends, and so we've stayed away from the track a little bit, taking advantage of the nice weather. Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was exciting news. Area 51. George, I am using an Sony A6400, and I love it. It is a great podcast, great just all around camera for the price point. I've been thinking about trying to pick up another one of those. I have the Sigma 16 millimeter lens on it, which gives me a nice wide shot without a bunch of distortion in the middle. So it makes me look true to size. I'm a little on the hefty side, and it doesn't lie. It doesn't squeeze me, or doesn't distort me too much. So, you guys are more than welcome to come hang out. I have 3 other microphones. If we get a couple cameras, we could make it a slot car podcast and bring people on. But I do have the ability to bring people on, and I talked to Raul about it, and I talked to George about it. So maybe we'll jump in. Hey, Chris, welcome. Not far, Columbus. You're about an hour away from us. So I think you said you were on the north side, so maybe a little longer. Up near maybe Sunbury or north side, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, camera is a big thing, but man, the iPhones do such a great job. But when you start trying to improve your audio and shooting 4K and things like that, I'm streaming at 1080p, and I think it's good enough. A lot of guys do it in 4K, but I have an internet connection that can handle it. But yeah, crash noises in the background. Eli Preston, welcome to the live stream. So this is my friend Eli. Eli is from Chillicothe. Eli, I first posted about building my slot car track, and he sent me a picture of his Ferrari, and it is a Fly, I believe. And he is a model builder and does an amazing job. He sends me pictures of updates of, he's a big F1 guy and does these amazing Formula One models. So Eli, welcome. Welcome. So yeah, tonight I want to talk about cars. What are your favorite cars? Drop them in the chat. Raul has a gigantic collection, and I think George, you have a pretty sizable collection too, since you sent me a couple cars to play with for the last month and a half, 2 months. But let me see here. I thought maybe I'd bring you guys on. You can talk maybe about a couple of your favorite brands, and from Duval Slots. Oh yeah, yep, good stuff. Yeah, Beatnik, yeah, you guys do. It looks like you do have fun. You got a great layout. Yeah, you run with like the lights down, so you can use your track lights and the lights of the cars. It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, Eli, I did watch the U.S. Grand Prix. It was pretty exciting. I felt bad right off the bat that one of the Ferraris went out. So Nick, you said your NSR Aston Martin. Yeah, well, I mean, do you run your track, or are you running digital track where you can control? You're probably not. You're probably running analog. Can you control your power, your voltage, so you can turn it down to kind of try to master it and then slowly push power to it? Yeah, Eli, Porsche 956, Mazda 787B. Yeah, so there's a new model, I think, of that Mazda coming out from Slotted, I think. It hasn't started shipping yet, but it looks pretty sweet. It's a pretty generic livery. It's black with the orange wings, but it looks great. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Group C cars. I mean, right here I've got my 917K, and then I have my 908-3 Porsche, and then over here in pieces that I'm putting back together. And just so you guys know, the GT is going to be back on the track. I just need some glue. I need batteries for your, I went to get them tonight and I couldn't remember what size they were. Batteries for your flashlight, so I can get that glue to stick. So John Mark, yeah, John Mark's got a little nice SRC Porsche 914, the Scream Machine. Yeah, and that Porsche is a cool car because it came out of the War Eagle collection. I think George, you mentioned that the guy that had the War Eagle collection, he bought it at Cincinnati Slots. He was really good at tuning, and that car is really, really fast on the track. So that's great. Right now, you're loving the Polycar 70s F1 cars. Yeah, I'm thinking about ordering one of those. That's my goal tonight, is to come up with what my next car order. I've got an order ready to place. So, hey, Chris. Oh, Steve's on Chris's phone. Your next car will be the Mosler. John Mark, you just bought a Mosler. We're still trying to get that thing tuned in. Those cars are fast. That's a 25K motor, and it screams. So we definitely have to do some tuning. And then the P34s, man, those are sweet looking cars. I'm curious to know, I mean, the way you set up a slot car, having all those front tires, I just wonder how fast those can go, and B, can you really get them tuned to fly? I mean, if they're F1 cars, Dusty's Carrera F1 car screams on the track. It's got the track record. I'll bring it up again in this live stream. So F1 next, Nick. Are you going to try to find a Carrera F1 car, or are you going to go? The NSR F1 cars are fast. In 124, yeah. My next thing is to buy a variable power supply, so maybe we can start messing around with some 124 scale cars. There's just not a huge selection of 124 scale. I mean, 132nd just has so many options. Hey, Clint, welcome, man. We are talking about your favorite cars tonight. I was showing my favorite car right now is my NSR. I love this car because it is super tunable, and I think that the chassis works really well. And this short wheelbase really seems to do well on my track. So I kind of like it. So, let's see here. What's I gonna do here? I need to send a couple links out here to. Should have had that set up already. So yeah, I'm trying to decide what my next purchase is going to be, because I really want I have a handful of cars in my box, or like in my cart, getting ready to order, and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. One of them is the blue and yellow livery Lola by Thunder Slots. I absolutely love that car, and so I hopefully I will get that ordered soon. So yeah, let me back up here. Okay, I'm back in. So hey, from Kingsland, Georgia. Hey, Jason, welcome. Glad to have you. Yeah, Eli, the JP, the John Player special. Dave Kennedy, he's a big fan of the John Player livery, and he's a big slot car channel here on YouTube. And he just picked up a couple different John Player, the Lotuses. Two different companies released F1 cars here in that livery, so pretty sweet. Looks like it's missing some pieces on the rear. Yeah. Yeah, this NSR is missing quite a bit. There's not much left on the back end of the car. It's all pieces across the track. Hey, Gerardo. If I glue and true the tires. Yeah, man. I've had a discussion with a couple different people about tire truers. Hey, Raul, I sent you a link to jump in, and you can talk about a few of your cars, and then after you're on, I'll bring George on, and he can talk about a couple of his cars. So if you're up for it, so. Polycar and Scaly. So we're not super familiar with Scalextrics, but my brother does have this. Well, he doesn't have it. I have it right now. But this is the only Scalextrics car we have that's been on the track, and he put the DPR chip in it, or the I'm losing the company name. That chip in it, and it does really well. Needs a little bit of tuning, I think. It could be a pretty quick on the track. Chris Holmes, power supply on Amazon. Let's see. Name manufacturer. George just sent me a link to one on Amazon. And it's one that Harry Wise uses on his 2 tracks. And I don't know if I still have that link up. I'll see if I can go find that link, and I'll post it. All right. We're just linked to one. So, all right. So I got to figure out how to bring Raul in. Let's see here. And to the right. What's up, Conquest? I don't know. I might get some feedback when I bring your audio in. How about you?
Hey Marty, what's up?
Hey man. So we're talking cars tonight, and this is Raul. He is, if you see his channel, is Conquest, and he's got a test track, and he does a ton of reviews, and he has a gigantic collection that you keep adding cars to all the time. So what are your favorite cars right now, Raul?
Favorites. It's hard for me to pick favorites. I think I'm more into brands. So any Porsche, I pretty much have a full range of them. Yeah. I did pick up the RevoSlot F40 as well. I really like that car. So yeah, that's probably a really nice car. But RevoSlots are hard to get a handle on and tune and race. So there's a lot more work for them. I also got a couple of Scale Auto Vipers, but the Viper is actually my favorite car in real life. I come from a Mopar background, so I used to build and tune Hellcats. So I used to have like 1,200 horsepower Hellcats. But yeah,
it's a big difference from slot cars, man.
Yeah, it's hard to choose a car. I'm a car nut, so choosing a car is almost like it's very difficult for me.
Yeah, so I look at my collection. I have about 12 cars now, and the only brands I've branched out into are NSR and Slotted, and I've had great luck with both of those brands. But there's so many other great. I mean, we've talked about it on lots of other podcasts or live streams. This is a great time to be in slot cars because you have so many great choices and great performing cars. A lot of companies that are taking care of that. Yeah.
So I just recently got into non-magnetic racing, obviously. So, being in Carrera Digital, we are spoiled with magnets and racing like heavier cars. But since I went down to Ernie's racing center, I've been racing a lot of non-magnetic racing. So building a non-magnetic car, learning how to race non-magnetic has been something I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. So MR slot car, obviously Ernie's local boy. So I do have a lot of actually all his cars in my collection. So
yeah, he makes some great cars. Right, I mean,
and they're all slotted components. So you got good componentry. They make we make. I believe Ernie makes his own tire as well. So we're all on a base class with I believe it's an 18,000 RPM motor, his own tire, and his own rim dimension. So all the cars are non-magnetic, tuned down, and we learn how to race on those. Yeah,
we were talking about this the other night. That that's one of the things I'm curious about is how other people manage their races, and how they manage a race night. And I feel like with an analog track, it always is a timed race and lap count. But if you're running a digital track like I am, with Smart Race, you can really do it that way, but you can really manage the race a lot of different ways. And so you were talking a little bit how Ernie has set up his classes to try to keep everything competitive. And it's cool to hear how people do it.
Yeah, this is like such a variety of rules. What we're racing is very minor, but when there's bigger classes, and their rule sets are about 3 to 5 pages long. So like they specify the weight of the chassis, they specify the diameter of the axles, they specify the diameter of the rims, tires, everything is specified for class. So it can get very technical, or it can be very lax. It depends on what you want.
Yeah. The guys in the chat are saying getting some feedback. So I don't know if it's a speaker volume on your end or
maybe.
Yeah.
How's it better now? No.
Any better, guys? You may need to talk, but yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I glanced over at the chat and everybody's like, "Yeah, we got feedback." So my mixer should be taking care of that. I mean, I can mute it on my end, but it should be doing mix minus on the USB coming in, so you shouldn't have to. But yeah, go ahead and finish what you were saying, Raul. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just see. Maybe I can.
Hey, Jimbo, welcome to the live stream. Sonny Sklotsgaard, no. Yeah, I think headphones is your way to go. I don't know if I got you now or not. And now I'm hearing me doubling back. So, all right. Well, sorry, Raul. We'll move on. So somebody had a question. Let me see. Let me roll back through the chat. Who was it? There it is. Double Snake. You asked, do you recommend an analog track or a digital track? And that is a great question. We've talked about it before. What I went through in my choice, I ended up with a digital track because I wanted to be able to run multiple cars on the layout. And I wanted to, let's see here. Yeah, I wanted to run multiple cars. I didn't think I had a lot of room until I ended up building my table. And now I'm sitting here with a 24 by 8 foot layout, about 115 feet now. So of track. So we went digital that way because I thought more people could be involved. I like the idea of a lap counting and timers, timing each lap, being able to run multiple people and do lane changing. That just was really intriguing. The Smart Race app really put it over the top. But now that we've been in it for maybe 7-8 months, I really see the advantage of having an analog track, because it just opens your world to lots of other cars. And so I would be hard pressed if I was going to do it again. I think I would still go digital just because I've enjoyed it, but I'm planning to build an analog test track. It won't be as big as this layout that I have now, but it will be, I would like to build a 4-lane so that we can still have plenty of people over to race, but then we won't have to chip every car that we get, because we have a lot of cars that don't have chips. Joe Mark's bought quite a few, and Dusty's got a few, and we would like to be able to run those without having to spend the money on a chip. Just clean the wheels before we glue them. Chris, I will post the link to that power supply as soon as I find it. I thought I bookmarked it. Yeah, Garth, I think I think it was because he didn't have headphones on, and so he was listening to me, and my mixer was doing what it could on my end, but I think we fixed it. So, or maybe I just don't bring somebody on as much as I want to. I want to bring George on. Yeah, both systems are good, but you went with a 4-lane analog, Clint. Yeah, so Clint, are you Scalextrics or are you an older track like a Stromberg or Stromberg? Is that right? I think that's one of those older brands, or Ninco, which I know a lot of people are. A 4-lane digital Nick. So here's the thing I'll throw out there about a 4-lane digital. I think it's a great idea. I will say that we have a fast lane and a slow lane on my 2-lane digital track. Most of us camp out in that quicker lane and only change lanes to pass. With a 4-lane, as long as if you can build a track that has even lane lengths, I think then any line can be quick. But even in that type of layout, you will still have faster lanes than others. It's just the nature of racing. You have a big sweeping turn, and you can go a lot faster on that inner lane on a big sweeping turn. But you got a big tight turn, you can go faster on the outside of that turn. So I think that a 4-lane digital, you would have even more of that going on, where you're still going to have a bunch of people camped out in one lane, and you'll probably have some outside lanes that don't get used a ton. If you have plenty of space, then I say go for it. So Jimbo, you run both on your Carrera, and you love running your old cars from the 60s. Yeah, there's some great stuff from that era. But I think that there's so many advances, just what I've seen in slot cars that were made 10 or 15 years ago and what's being made now. Garth, bring George on. He knows what to do. Yeah. I will work to bring him on. Sorry, Raul. Didn't mean to bail on you, man. Let's see here. Let me turn this on. So, years ago, and what's being made now. Yeah, I think Garth, George on. He knows what to do. Yeah. I think I'm running into. Sorry, Raul. I think I'm running into a major delay because when I bring Raul on, I'm hearing what I said about 3 or 4 seconds ago, and so I think that's it's the streaming out is causing the problem. So yeah, I just try to bring Raul back in, and I think that we're dealing with a delay. Arc Pro can't run hot motors or it will fry. So is that Arc Pro? Is that the Scalextric digital Sunday slot? Yeah, Dusty, I agree. My brother, he basically says he didn't think that we would change much. If we had 4 lanes around my particular layout, we would still be in that same, what I call the inside lane. It's the inside lane when you come across the start-finish line. Yeah. Let's see. So one nice thing about Arc Pro is it's digital or analog. Okay, so that is the Scalextric digital. I looked at that really hard. The reason why I didn't go Scalextric is I thought that it was going to cost me a little more to get into that system. And when I jumped in the supply chain for that, I could not find it anywhere very readily accessible. I really wanted to kind of get my hands on like the boxes and look and talk to somebody that. So I went to my local hobby shop in Columbus, and that's where I ended up. So, yeah, we've talked a lot about the tech slots box to convert the digital to analog, and I think that's a great way to go. George and I talked the other night. He's going to try the Omni box, which is a little more expensive, but it can it can do a lot more. Chris, yours does great. Yeah, the Omnibox can run whatever. Yeah, it does cost. It's close to $1,000, and but I think that we were talking about you get what you pay for. I think, and I think it can handle just about any motor, any car that you want to throw at it. So I think that's an advantage to the Omni. So I guess what kind of are people changing out motors based on the class they run? Maybe. I guess the only car that I've done, I bought a Piranha, the Carrera upgrade that's made to it's already got the plug for Carrera, just a plug and play motor from Piranha, and it is noticeably faster than the standard Carrera motors. It's really quick. But do a lot of people do upgrades? I mean, this NSR is a 21.5 Shark motor, and I couldn't imagine ever putting a faster motor in this car. So yeah, I guess I'm talking for messing around on the home track. So I guess if you are racing in a class at a club, then you're going to do whatever the rules allow because everybody's got to go fast. Wing racer slot cars. Yeah, Chris. My plan. I'm going to throw that up here, Chris. You love the Carrera track, but if I was getting into it now, you would use the Polycar track. I like the fact that the Polycar track is really grippy, and you can just run the rubber tires that come, just get them trued, and you can go pretty quick because there's lots of grip on that track. I like that idea. I do like silicone tires on my Carrera track. We keep the track pretty clean. You're always cleaning tires, but they perform really well on the Carrera track. But if I'm building an analog track, I'm probably not going to build a Carrera analog. I'm probably going to go with Polycar. That's my hope. Yeah, so Conquest, if you like Carrera racing, check out Overdrive from Germany. They do an amazing upgrades on Carrera Digital. Yeah, I've watched a lot of their stuff. They do a lot of great upgrades. Nick, you have the 21.5 Shark motor, or you have the Piranha motor? Yeah, the Piranha motor is quick. I picked it up and put it in my Audi R8, the pink Audi R8, and it easily becomes the fastest Carrera car that I own just by the motor swap. And that is like the easiest upgrade that you can do to a Carrera car. But then again, I pulled it out because I want to keep those cars, all my Carrera cars, pretty even, because I have guests come over and race on the track, and they pick a car, and I want them to have a car that performs pretty well against all the other cars. Yeah, Chris, I agree. Polycar is probably kind of the way to go for analog right now. I know Sunday Slots. Do you carry Polycar? Or are you a Carrera only? I'm thinking you're Carrera only. Yeah, and Chris, the guys at Tom Thumb kind of make fun of the home sets. I think the plastic cars is what they call them, and that's fine. They're into the big wing, super fast cars. He talks about they're running, the plastic cars run like a 8 or 9 second lap around their, or 7 second lap around their track, and they run sub 3s or something with those big wing Lexan brass chassis cars, foam tires, things like that. Yeah, Dusty says the silicone performs better than the urethane does. Yeah, we haven't been able to get the Paul Gauge to perform great, but in all fairness, we don't own a tire truer, and I think that's the key for that. Yeah, I think that's the tire truer that I would like to get to. Raul. Yeah, good find. This is a great one. You do give up your option for 124 scale on Polycar. The lane width is kind of tight, I think. It depends on what type of 124 scale car. I think Dave Kennedy talked about it in one of his live streams that like that there are some smaller 124 scale stuff like those. He was running the midgets kit that he built from MRC, I think. So those are 124 scale you can run. So yeah, you do lose the option of running the larger 124 scales cars. Scale Auto is not interested in, Nick, the Piranha motor with slot invasion, aluminum wheels, and bearings. I haven't gone to the bearings yet. I'm sure that helps. Yeah, definitely. Paul Gage needs to be trued. Chris, you have a Parma for Tom Thumbs. Yeah, I'm curious. One day I might have may get into that a little bit. I would love to go run some laps on his wood track. It's a great track. I forget which model it is. It's one of those Mid-American, or I forget what the company is that made a bunch of them in the 60s, wooden tracks. Yeah, you can make shoulders out of MDF for Polycar or for anything. Yeah, I ended up buying. Well, actually, my brother bought a lot of the borders, but between the two of us, we put borders around my track. And I went with the Carrera ones mainly because the layout was changing. If you go MDF, you're locked in. And if you decide to change your layout, you got to recut those. And I know it's not super expensive, but it is kind of expensive right now. Yeah, man, I think that was the big thing for me is the pit lane and what that brings into strategy in a digital race is so much fun. Like the very first night that we got competitive and started doing some racing and we weren't just like practicing. I think John Mark won on a fuel mileage strategy. And what we found out is his gas tank was in the settings in Smart Race was bigger than ours. And that's how he won it. But the strategy worked, right? If you really are smart and you can get in and out of the pits quick, you can really play that strategy. Yeah, Dusty, you would like to scratch build a 132nd? Yeah, I think that would be fun too. I agree. I think maybe we create a class here at the track, scratch build. Main Street Racing, Windsor, Vermont is just starting marketing his awesome tire truer. Oh, Chris, I will have to check that out because I think that's one of John Mark cheats. That's funny. I would have to check that out, Chris. That would be, a tire truer is definitely something that I would like to get for the track. So anybody who comes to my track can true their tires. I like to keep the competition very even. I get way more track time than anybody else does, and I realize that. So I have way more laps because I just walk to my basement and jump on the track and throw a car on and put in 100 laps or 200 laps or whatever. And so, somebody shows up with a brand new car. My nephew has one of the new C8 Corvettes, and as soon as he gets here, we'll tune it up and get it running the way it needs to compete with the rest of the cars. So I like close races. I don't. It's not fun when you're just destroying everybody. I don't know. Maybe it is for some people, but for me, it's not. I would rather it be tight races and the excitement of that, which is the beauty of the digital track. And it's not that can't happen on analog. I've watched a lot of races online, and you get a good timing system, and it's right there. The excitement of the race. So run Smart Race with Connect and 5 penalties for stopping the race, and it makes it for close racing. Yeah, Nick, we haven't done enough racing nights where we actually like do practice, do qualifying, do racing, where we've done the penalties. But I think that's what we that's what we will do as we grow into the club of whatever it looks like. Yeah, man. Yeah, George makes some great cars. The scratch building stuff, we were talking about it the other night. It's good. It's great. He went out and visited sometime with Harry Wise. If anybody you don't follow Harry, go follow him. He's a great tuner, super smart guy, and is very helpful, like shares his knowledge, which I think is an amazing thing about this hobby. Is I'm sure if I was at a track and it was a club and it was serious racing, that people probably wouldn't share speed secrets with me. But here on the internet, people are super open to share, make a video about how they tune. I mean, Harry's got a video of exactly how he tuned his 908s. And I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, you have to pay for those extra features. I can talk real quick about Smart Race. Smart Race I think is fantastic. I'm a fanboy. And one of the fun things is the pit radio feature, and it's almost worth the $2.95 a month that I pay for those extra features. But the extra features, you get the championship series, so you can create a championship series and keep points from race to race, and have a race and add it to that championship series. That's really handy. I think that's a feature that we'll use. Tire and weather alongside fuel simulations, it gives you that. But the pit radio and then the control center. So I have a couple of iPads that I really don't do much with. They're older iPads, but they'll run Smart Race, and there's a sister app to Smart Race, and you can go and control your own car. It gives you a call button to stop the race right on the phone, on your phone. But then if you put headphones in, it gives you your timing when you cross the start finish line. It gives you your split timing. It gives you what place you're in. It tells you when you need fuel. So it's like having a pit crew, and it makes it so much fun, especially when the room gets noisy. We don't run the volume on the TV too crazy loud, and so sometimes you realize you're not paying attention. You're so focused on racing, you run out of gas. But when you put your headphones in, it tells you, when you need to fuel and go in for a pit stop. So that's just a great feature. It's great use of the API in that software. Yeah, Nick, I agree. It is totally worth it. Yeah, Dusty uses like some Bluetooth headphones, so you can still talk in here in the room. It just runs one in one ear, and it makes it. Hey, Travis, welcome to the live stream, man. Well, I tried to bring some people on, but we were having some delay issues. So you're here. I would bring you on, but I'm afraid we'd have some audio issues. We'd have to maybe work that out beforehand. We are talking about, we've kind of gone rabbit trails, but we were talking about your favorite car brands right now. And I was talking about my favorite right now is my 908 Porsche from NSR. My favorite Carrera car is my 917K. And then my favorite slotted is my GT40. So, but yeah, man, welcome. Good to see you. So, where were we at? Let's see. Yeah, I think the Champion subscription is worth it on the software. It's not too much. I pay Apple way too much a month for lots of things. So another $2.95, I think, is what it is. It's worth every penny. And we use a lot of it. Clint, I want to throw that up. We use Quick Slicks. Now, there's a brand Cincy Slots pushes called Super Tires, I believe. And I haven't tried those, but I think they're silicone the same. And those guys that race out of that club in Cincinnati, which is pretty close to me, it's just under 2 hours, I think. So it's we haven't tried. We don't have a tire truer, so we haven't gone the Paul Gage route. I think we've tried a few Paul Gage tires, and they just don't perform as well as the Quick Slicks. But I think that it's because we are not truing them in a traditional sense of putting on a tire truer. I think we do the sandpaper thing on the track, and it just takes a long time to get them worked in, right? Yeah, cheaper than a car, right? Yeah, Chris, I plan to order some super tires. I know that they went through. I think the owner passed, and then they weren't sure if the family was going to continue on making tires, but they announced that they were, and I think that Cincy Slots sells them. It's a great place to go. You use Paul Gage. See, I think that if we had a tire truer and could get those tires trued, that the Paul Gage urethanes would probably work really well on the Carrera track. So, Travis, you have so many cars. I'm not sure that you could pick out your favorite. I mean, you've done like 7 or 8 videos of your top 5s. But what's your favorite car to throw on the track right now to put some laps in? Maybe not just specific car, but like what brands are you really high on right now? We've had a lot of guys talk about NSR, some slotted. Conquest was talking, Raul was talking about he really likes Revo slots, but they take a little bit of tuning to get them where you need them. Yeah, I get that. If we were running rubber tires, I wouldn't allow silicone. I'll throw that up Sunday. I probably wouldn't have let silicone tires on because they pull up all the rubber. But we really never were able to get rubber laid down well on the track. And we noticed a significant increase in track time and speed by going to silicone. And so since I made that switch to silicone, you just have to keep your track clean. And my brother bought one of those little cleaners, and we push around on the car, and on the track, it does a great job. Non-silicone tire track. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know everybody has their favorite stuff, and that's what I enjoy learning about, like what works for some guys, because silicone tires work for us on this. If we would have stayed with rubber tires, and eventually we would have and didn't clean the track, but I'm down in this basement. It gets a little dusty. I have to wipe the track down, and so every time I wipe the track down, I was wiping the rubber off the track, and that was just, it would never allow the rubber to build up. But I can understand why people wouldn't allow, especially like a wooden track. There's no way I would have let silicone tires on a wooden track because they would pick up all the rubber that all those cars laid down. Nick, I've not tried the Slot Invasion. I'll throw that up. The Slot Invasion aluminum rims. The only thing I've done with Slot Invasion are the guides, and I think their guides are fantastic. So, yeah, Dusty, your Aston Martin, your slotted Aston Martin has been, you've fought that thing since day one. I think that it's an older chassis and an older mold, and it's got that tiny little guide, and that's the struggle. It is super fast, but you just cannot get it to stick in the corners. Suntan lotion as prep. Okay, Chris, tell me what you would use suntan lotion to prep your tires. I wouldn't see how that would. I guess maybe I'm missing something. I'm interested. So I've used some like tire prep, like WD-40 or something like that, which to me seems counterintuitive that you would spray WD-40 on your tires to make them get more traction. Yeah, what? Yeah, his LMP car, I don't know. He might be dealing with a warped chassis. Because it just will not. I mean, it'll fly down the straightaway, and as soon as it's a turn, man, it's out of the slot. Yeah, you've struggled with the braids too on that one. Just that front end, that guide on that model of slot, it's different than any other slotted car. Yeah, it probably does work great on wood. The suntan lotion, is that what you're talking about? Okay, that's interesting. I would not have thought about that. Suntan lotion. See, all these guys know all these speech secrets. It's great stuff. Let's see. Did I miss any? I mean, we're approaching an hour. I always try to be conscious of everybody's time, but man, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This has been a lot of fun. These live streams, just a great conversation. It's been a lot of fun. I have to thank you guys because a lot of you have jumped on and started following me. My channel just last week grew quite a bit for a small channel. Anytime you get like 5 subscribers in a couple of days, like that's awesome. The big channels, that's they're hoping to get that for a day or a couple hours, I guess. Some of those large channels that I follow, media stuff and marketing things. But yeah, it's been a great week. Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine maybe Dusty is dealing with a little bit of a warped chassis. I guess we've never really looked at that. Yeah, I've used rubbing alcohol. A lot of times we just use I got a roll of painter's tape laying on the table, and we just kind of throw it around, and everybody cleans off their tires. And since everybody's doing it the same way, it seems to work pretty well. Yeah, Dusty, you need one of the new NSR chassis flatteners. Let's see, Nick. Dusty, I had an issue with an NSR. I changed the keel, dropped down the springs on the motor pod. Made a big difference. Yeah, so George gave me his 917, one of his Porsches. It's an NSR, and it has the suspension kit. That was the first time I'd seen a car with that suspension kit on the motor pod, and that is really interesting. And it definitely does perform well. Thanks, Neil, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. We're just a bunch of guys that are enjoying this hobby and trying to learn and make our cars go faster and just enjoy it. I will never probably ever be in a super competitive club racing. It's just not me. I don't enjoy that. But I do enjoy friendly competitions with my friends, and that's what is important to me. But I like to kick their butt when they're on my track, but that hasn't been happening lately. Everybody's getting too fast. We're all learning too much about tuning cars. Very little dry well. Are you talking about alcohol on the tires, or is that suntan? Or are we still talking about suntan lotion? Yeah, that's good. So what's the next car? What's your next purchase? If you're buying a car today, and you had to hit the order button on LEB Hobbies or Slot Car Corner or Professor Motor or Carrera Slots or Sunday Slots website. What's your next purchase? Yeah, I agree, man. Racing with friends and family is better. My kids are coming home for Thanksgiving from college, and I was talking to Caroline, my youngest, just before I started the live stream, and she's like, "We're going to race, right, Dad?" I'm like, "Of course we're going to race." So the Polycar F1. So we got a NSR McLaren. So Nick, my brother Dusty, has the NSR and McLaren. I can let him speak to that. That's a fast car. He has a little bit of problems. It's so powerful on this track, that I think he struggles to keep it on. The F1 Ferrari LMP. Yeah, has anybody seen the new Hyper LMPs or what Hyper prototypes, whatever those are called, that are coming out? I forget what company's working on them. The MR slot car Ferrari 333. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Mario and Yoshi digital 132s. Don't you already have those? Didn't you do a video racing Mario and Yoshi? How well do those perform, Sunday? Okay, Sunday, I need to know your real name. I know I've heard it in your videos, but it's escaping me at the moment. Jimbo wants the modern F1 Polycar. Yeah, that's a good looking car. And what I hear, it's a good running car. Yeah, the Mario and Yoshi stuff is cool. Like, I give Carrera credit that's probably going to be a big seller for them. You've got a lot of people who are Mario fans, man. Yeah, Dusty, you just need to spend some more time with that McLaren. Yeah, John Mark, I am excited for your Ken Miles GT40 because it's probably going to be the same as mine, just in that different livery. And that's going to be a great car. It's going to be fast. Yeah, Chris, the SRCs, they look wild. SRCs, that twin Toyota LMPs that they released, I think they're pretty hard to get. I think Travis might have one. I know Dave talked about one on his channel too. Those are wild looking cars, and SRC has really done some I think forward thinking things with their chassis. That's kind of the split body design. There's some things going on with the chassis. I think they really have a fast car there. Chris, you ordered 2, one to play and one to display. That's what I needed to do. I needed to order 2 of these because this thing is trashed. Like it's cracked and stuff's missing off the bottom. There's supposed to be lots of plastic that looks like a motor back there. Yeah, this one's just as bad. This Carrera. So yeah, you're jealous that you have family and friends that play with you. Nobody in my circle care about slot cars. So you like to, Neil, I think that I probably would not have gotten into it if I didn't already know that I could easily pull my brother in. and John Mark, I already knew that my buddy John Mark, it's on here. I knew that he and I had talked a lot about slot cars over the years. And so I knew those were fake. What was fake? Scratch builds. The real ones will be out soon. Okay. Oh, your Mario and Yoshi. Those were fake. Yeah, you played it off like they'd sent you some early prototypes, right? That's awesome. I love it. I love it that you guys built that. Sunday, I'm impressed that you and your wife race together on your channel. I think that's great. ladies and gentlemen, Mike Throne has entered the chat. Sometimes I just sit around and wish I had more hobbies. Well, Mike, the longer you hang out with me, the more hobbies you'll have. Let me rephrase that. Davey award-winning Mike Throne is on the pod, on the live stream. That's great. Sunday, I did not know that you built those. I thought those were official Carrera Mario and Yoshi. That's great. Well played. Yeah, Nick, you're getting the 1/24 scale Ken Miles. Yeah, you guys have been waiting on that car for a while. I mean, I think, John Mark, you pre-ordered one back in March when we started this. The Scale Auto Peugeot 208 is on your list. Ken Miles. Beat Nick, don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Jimbo, you just chipped your first Polycar Modern, and it works great. So you had plenty of room underneath the body to get the chip in. That's cool. Hey, Tim. Welcome, man. Good to have you. We are talking about what our next car purchase is in a roundabout way. We've talked about a lot of things, but that's our focus at the moment. About to build a sim racing rig next to my track. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so yeah, he needs to practice with that McLaren. It's fast. Yeah, and that's Chris. That's awesome. It's something you did with your fathers. I have a friend, my friend Eli, his wife Jen. She talks about her dad had a big, or still does, I think, has a big HO layout in his basement, and she still remembers the smell of the HO cars when they get hot, and that's like a fond memory of hers. So yeah, so it's tough when you can't find people who can get excited about the hobby like you're excited about the hobby. I have an ability to get people excited about the hobbies that I jump in. One of our customers built the Mario Kart slot cars. He scratch builds a lot. I think I'll have a good laugh at fooling people. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I didn't know any better. But remember, I'm a beginner. Although somebody sent me a message and they're like, dude, you're not a beginner anymore. That was months ago, but not now. The Scalextric Skin Mile GT40. Yeah, they do go for some of that older stuff, like the older Carrera cars too, that people didn't buy when they came out. Now, prepare to spend $150, $250 if you're trying to build that. Let's see what else. So I think my next car is I'm probably going to order the Thunder Slot Lola, and then I think that number 2 is I want the Golf livery in the NSR, the 908. The new one that it hasn't. I don't think it started shipping yet, but it's supposed to ship soon. So, hot rods. So yeah, I think those are the 2 on my list right now that I plan to order. Hey, Rise. Welcome. Yeah, you're a bit late. That's okay, man. Hey, we all have lives. There's a lot going on. I don't expect a bunch of people to jump on, but I'm happy that those who choose to lose an hour of their life talking about slot cars with me. It's a lot of fun. There's a few brands that I haven't tried that I would like to try. I would like to get a Revo slot. Those look like really nice, but I haven't picked out which model I want. I love the Nissan Sideways in the Pennzoil livery. I know that's kind of a imaginary livery, but I think it looks fantastic, and I hear good things about Sideways. So Chris, the Lolas are great. Yeah, I love the red, the limited edition one. That one looks great, but every time I go to put it in my cart, I end up with the blue and yellow. I love that color combination. Of all the hobbies, slot car is the most affordable. I will say, like, it's been, I've dropped some money, and it's usually mad money. I'll sell something and then turn that back into the slot car track. And I will say that, like, I don't have a ton of money invested in the layout, and John Mark and Dusty have been gracious to jump in and help buy things. And we have a really nice layout. And in the grand scheme of things, we haven't spent tons of money. We can go really fast. The key is there's an addiction of, like, opening up a box with new cars in it. That's what you're running. You ride off all. Chris, you have 2 of the red ones. Nice. Yeah, I should have picked up a second. That number 31 livery is so sweet. It didn't do great in the race, but it's a great looking livery. Write off all my slot cars on taxes. So that's funny that you mentioned that, because if I started a club, I would love to get a Carrera dealership, or whatever you call it, a resellership, just so that I can supply, like, the club with cars. So if somebody walks in, wants to race that day, I can, $50 later they're in a car and the group helps them tune and they get to have fun. Mainly because then that could be a nice little tax write-off. Hey, Mike Lambert. Hey, welcome, man. Yeah, well, we're all fans too. It's a great hobby, and there's a lot of great voices. And there's a lot of great voices that don't have channels. They just participate in these conversations, the live streams that really has been one of the things that I've enjoyed. So I'm definitely not an expert, but I love technology, and this is fun. I love to talk, so it's super easy. Just turn a camera on and start up a conversation. But it would be lonely if I didn't have guys like you guys jumping in and joining the conversation. So really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, 2K easy. Yeah, I would say that I'm probably approaching. Yeah, I'm probably close to that. Maybe not quite. I haven't bought a ton of cars. I think that's where it'll really add up for me. I start buying the cars, or if I build another track, another analog track, or add an analog track. The tax man. That's right. Yeah, Nick. We have an RC shop here in my town, and he was a Carrera dealer for a long time. And I walked in one day knowing that I was going to buy, I was ready to invest. And he was telling me that that he was getting out of it, that he had sold all of his stuff and he was putting all of his cars for sale. And I bought this car from him. And so I didn't even have a track, and I bought this Porsche. I think it was still about a month later before we got the track put together. And so I bought that 917K, and he gave me a deal on a chip because it was an Evolution car. So it didn't come with a chip. And I felt bad. I was like, wow, I didn't know you sold slot cars until I started doing some research, and I looked on Carrera's site and you were a dealer. And he's like, yeah, not anymore. I told him that they couldn't fulfill my order during the pandemic. And so I got mad because I didn't get my Christmas order. And I'm like, I'm sure you were there with every other distributor in the States. So Have to help me sell them. Your wife says, "What, another slot car?" Yeah. Well, I'm a guitar player, and I haven't purchased a new guitar in probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. That's probably 12 years. And I decided to sell one of my old guitars and trade it. And I basically got it 2 for 1. And so I got 2 new guitars in the mail today. And so my wife, she was wondering what the heck was going on. So she doesn't know much about my slot car hobby. She doesn't care. She thinks it's stupid. Yeah, man, that's great that you can get them involved. Like I said, my kids, they can't wait till they come home to race. So over Thanksgiving, so I will have probably a couple of organized race nights. So Dusty and John Mark will probably have to come over, and we'll see who all we can get and do a big race. Yeah, Sunday. I'm sure I was actually, that's kind of like talking to you when I said that. He was very frustrated that he didn't get his shipment for Christmas, and I'm like, I knew I had started doing a little bit of research just before Christmas, and I was seeing that everywhere. Actually, I think I was watching one of your videos. It was one of the first slot car videos I watched, and you guys were talking about how you were just short on supply of stuff. So. Yeah, that's cool. I have a YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't know. Do I? Rise, that's awesome. And sure, your wife enjoys that. Yes, John Mark, it is cheaper than bourbon. Yeah, Dusty. On bourbon or moonshine? Or both? Mike Lambert, slot cars and guitars. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, slot cars and guitars. Yeah. I'm not a very good guitar player, but I like guitars. Guitars are expensive, though. That's the only problem. Funny story, I remember that order because the box was so big I had to ship with a huge box and cut my hand to bring it to the post office. Yep. Moonshine here in North Carolina. I don't know if Dusty's made it all the way to North Carolina, but he's gone to, I think, Tennessee and Kentucky a couple times. You got a huge box from Sunday Slot Cars. Sunday, do you ship to the U.S.? I think I asked you that before. Is it? Yes, Dusty, you're right. You are quoting my wife. She's like, you have a YouTube channel? All right, Rise. Thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, I'm about to wrap up. I feel like I'm starting to ramble. So, guys, maybe we'll do this again next week. I've got a couple videos planned. A couple of them I've extended my layout again and adding some things. So I'll put a video out hopefully by the end of the week on that. And then I've got a couple other videos planned. So it won't all be live streams, but I really appreciate you guys jumping in. It was a fun night of conversation. And thanks for hitting the subscribe button. If you give it a thumbs up, maybe YouTube will push it out to some more people. We get more people in this conversation about this great hobby of slot cars. So, yeah, thanks, Clint. Appreciate it. And yeah, George, maybe we need to do some testing again because we didn't have problems with delay and things like Raul and I had, but we did not. Raul and I tested, and we didn't have problems. So I'm not sure what happened. So we'll get it figured out. But I appreciate all of you guys. Hey, Jonathan. Hey, man, thanks. Appreciate you jumping in. We're about to wrap up, so hopefully you didn't, but you can go back and watch. You can watch the replay. So, guys, thanks. Great night, and I appreciate all of you. Have a good week. Be safe. I'm out, and have fun racing.